Hello, welcome back to the channel. I am the Disc Golf Nerd, and today we're going to take a look at the Loft Discs NEON. Super wild, mega puddle top, overstable approach disc that's hitting Kickstarter today as I post this video. It's funny how these things work out. I actually didn't necessarily plan it that way, but in terms of when we got a chance to actually get out and test these last week, now I have the footage and I'm ready to roll, and it's timed out perfectly to drop this on the day that the Kickstarter starts. They're also releasing a 7-speed fairway driver. This is one I dyed up the other day. Came out pretty cool, and this is called the Titanium 75-21. I'll probably have more videos about this in the future, but I've already showed it off in some unboxing videos. Here's a look at it here. Also a solid disc, but this video is about the Neon, and we're going to get into a full disc review on this thing right now. Wild disc. Okay, I got 3 of these. Let's take the cleanest one. We tested them all. I started testing the Neon first at the indoor disc golf experience that they have set up at the People's Courts here in Portland, Oregon. It's like an indoor kind of putt-putt type of situation. We had a good time with it, and it functioned quite well as my overstable kind of mess-around disc for the day. But the second I took these out of the box and handled them, it's immediately apparent that this is the most severe and just crazy puddle top I think I've ever seen. Now, I have already previously reviewed the Discraft ZONE OS. We're going to take a look at that side by side with this in just a second. And you're going to see that the Neon takes it yet another step further in terms of how deep this puddle top is. What's funny about it is if you kind of just ignore it and throw the disc as normal, it really doesn't feel that crazy in the hand to me. And I got used to it pretty much right away. It doesn't really take anything for me to adjust to the feel of this thing, but very, very, very noteworthy in terms of the depth of the puddle top. I mean, hopefully you're getting a sense of it. The one flight number is a little bit messed up there. 3103 are the flight numbers on this thing. Let's see if that's any better on this one. Yeah, there we go. Neon. Alpha Solid is the plastic, kind of a star type plastic or so. That kind of opaque premium classic feel, but it's got a nice feel to it. You saw it takes dye really well. Founders Edition 3103. So I like that the glide is low because I think that's accurate. Although when you power into this thing, it does have some flight to it, but we'll get to that later. Plain old 0 for turn, doesn't turn. There's no positive number there, which I definitely support. And the 3 for fade, I think, is about spot on. So immediately when you show a disc that has like a puddle top or has a low glide, everybody's going to go, oh, is it a Berg? It's basically a Berg ripoff. If you've ever seen a Berg, you can take one look at this and see that it's not a Berg. It's not a Berg ripoff. It's just another disc with a puddle top. It is a 3 speed, a 3 fade. Both of those are accurate. Both of those are not attributes the Berg has. And the design on the outside rim is more zone harp-ish to me and my eye. Let's actually take a look at it next to some other options, as we typically like to do. We'll do it right now while we're on the topic. I should just grab a Berg and show you how not Bergish it really is. Maybe I'll do that in one second. But first, the Discraft First Run Zone OS. And you can see this was previously the king of the wacky puddle tops, and it's still quite severe, like the way that thing dips in. Now, I don't know if this thing's kind of flattened itself out while it's been hanging out in the box with all the other overstable approach discs in my collection, but I don't think so. I think it just doesn't look as severe because now I've been exposed to the Neon. I mean, this thing's just straight up soup bowl of a disc, and side by side, other than the dome, you can see the Zone OS is deeper. It's got more of a kind of blocky, squared off rim shape. This is just a very consistent slope down angle on the bottom there, and it's got that very squared top. The Neon, much more comfortable rounded shape in my opinion. The way it sinks into my hand just feels much better to me than the Zone OS, which is, I mean, it's not a problem, but it's just kind of felt, yeah, just kind of chunky. One of my favorites out of the entire collection, which is the newer run Slammers, the Sockibomb Slammer, and this thing is just bored flat on the top, just kind of carpentry level flat with that little thumb track there. More overstable, probably. I would say it's a little bit more mean than the Neon, but hard to say. Probably doesn't fly as much, a little bit more beefy than the Neon, I would say. Maybe even a bit slower, too. I'm not exactly sure what the flight numbers are on the Sockibomb Slammer, but there it is next to that, just to give you an idea of some of the differences and some of the stuff that you might be familiar with already. As I said, I had 3 of these, and we didn't notice any difference between the 3 that we tested. I believe we tested all 3. Maybe we only had 2 out in the field, but I think I've thrown all 3 of these so far. But either way, they all behaved basically identical. You can see they have the same the same shape, the same stamps, and I like that. I've found the Loft discs to be very consistent from disc to disc in the ones that I've gotten. Now, considering that they're always the same run, makes sense that they would be, but not always the case. You know, I've tested a lot of stuff and I've gotten multiples and had them vary a lot. Not really the case with Loft discs, very consistent, solid stuff. And I like the Alpha Solid plastic overall. It's got a good feel. Again, kind of feels like that kind of traditional classic star feel, maybe a bit more firm overall. Okay, we talked about the plastic, the flight numbers, the design. We compared it side by side with other discs, and nothing left to do but take a look at the rest of the flight footage and talk about the flight of this disc. Okay, so as I first started testing this thing, it is definitely quite overstable at low speeds. What surprised me was when Andy powered into it, how it started to behave. He actually got to hold a turnover on a couple of occasions. It was able to handle a ton of pop and fly pretty straight with some fade at the end of the flight. And it's a very functional disc, and one that I like because, you know, we have this weird phenomenon, kind of like the Zone OS, where supposedly it's more overstable the harder you try to throw it, but I don't really understand why that's beneficial. This thing's beefy at short range when I throw it soft, and then if I put it on hyzer, it holds the hyzer really strong, but I can actually slam it flatter and get it to fly straighter and carry with a little bit more distance. I like that. You know, I think that's more useful to have a disc that's overstable all the time, but you can lay into it and get it to open up a bit more than a disc that gets beefier the harder you try to throw it. It doesn't really compute to me exactly why that would be beneficial, other than for people that just throw with a ton of speed and have like no control. And you just need something that's super overstable to handle your wacky form and your total lack of touch. That's not my problem. If I have anything in this game, it's some level of touch and ability to control more understable discs, slower discs, more touchy stuff, and part of that's, you know, testing all the stuff I've done over the years. I digress. Getting back to the Neon though, I was surprised by how it powered up for Andy, because early on when I started testing it, I tried to throw it backhand a couple times, and I think I was just throwing it kind of fluffy and on hyzer, and it was real mean. But then I noticed after watching him throw it that if I throw it more flat to anhyzer, you can get more straight flights out of it, but it still has no natural turn, still handles all the torque and power really well, and ends up being a much smoother flyer than you'd think, especially based on this wild shape with this huge puddle top that this thing has. So definitely a super functional disc that'll go directly into my overstable approach disc collection along with all the others. It will be featured in that coming up here this spring when we finally drag this box out, knock the dust off of them, and test a huge mountain of these overstable flat top approach discs, because I think they're some of the most crucial and critical discs on the market. And I'm happy that Loft Discs has one in their lineup, and this definitely be one that I'll continue to mess around with for myself out there in the course as well. See if it continues to surprise me and how it actually might develop a role in my bag. That's it for the video. Another quick reminder, these are dropping on Kickstarter. Look for the link in the description, or just go check out Loft Discs on social media or on their website for all the information on how you can get involved with that. One thing I will say that I've really liked about Loft Discs from the beginning, and all the work that they've done out there in Denmark, is that they're trying to bring something different to the market. You know, they could have just put out kind of a stock zone type disc and it would have been fine. I'm sure people would have liked it. But they wanted to go that a little bit further. They wanted to take it further and try something a little bit different. I really appreciate and support that, and I'm happy to continue to work with them here on the channel. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much to the Disc Golf Nerd Patreon support team, Loft Discs, for continuing to work with the channel. All of my subscribers, viewers, sponsors, I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers.